Hey everyone, Tia Torres here with another episode of Wild Instincts. And if my memory serves me correctly, we were getting ready to leave Amsterdam and heading towards what I thought would be Sri Lanka. Now, I don't think I mentioned this in the other episodes, but let's remind everybody I am a human who hates flying. Okay, between a horrific fear of flying, I also get extremely airsick. So the flight from Los Angeles, LAX, to Amsterdam was 11 hours. Okay. 11 hours straight. Okay. Um, Although I spent most of the time under the influence of Tylenol PM, um, spending a day in Amsterdam, even with the drama that we had, it felt good. I kind of got my bearings back. I stopped puking because I am one of these people that when I get like car sick, air sick, yeah, I get motion sick for everything. It takes me a day or two to recuperate. So I was barely getting over it before we had to hop back on a plane. So we load the animals up. We get back on the same plane. KLM is the name of the airline. And I'm assuming we're going straight to Sri Lanka. Uh, no, no. And I don't remember at which point. Oh, no, I do remember at which point I found out we weren't. When we landed. Remember now. So this particular flight, leg of the flight, they loaded up more cargo in the cargo section, which is where our animals were. And again, where I spent a lot of my time sleeping on top of Romeo the lion's cage so that I could be next to my dog Tatanka, who was still not doing well in a crate. This time they had loaded up cases of chicks. Yes, peepers. Like peep, 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 little baby chickens. Who, how, I don't even, hundreds of them right next to our lion, our leopards, our tigers, the wolf dogs. Yes, right there. And they peeped the entire time. Um, it was a very stressful leg of the flight. So I get through it again under the influence of Tylenol. And we are told that we're landing. Now, let me remind everybody why we were kind of in the dark as far as the flight. This is a Dutch airline, okay? Most of the passengers, once again, well, actually, all of them were of Middle Eastern, you know, Middle Eastern. Okay, so nobody really spoke English on this airline. Myself, Chad, and Scott were like the only Americans, the only English speaking people. Now there were, I think, like maybe one flight attendant that spoke fairly good English, with a very thick Dutch accent, of course. So it wasn't like the pilot, when he spoke, we understood what was going on. I'm saying this for a reason. So we begin our descent. Mind you, again, I think we're landing in Sri Lanka until, oh my God, I remember this vision or this visual like it happened yesterday. Um, the plane lands and people are getting off, but of course we get up and immediately go to the back of the cargo section to make sure the animals were calmed down. Because in our mind, we're going to start unloading the animals. So the big hatch door opens in the cargo section. I swear to you, I am not exaggerating. Lined up in 2 rows facing each other. Just when you get off, I come down the ramp from the cargo section, were armed like soldiers. Not American soldiers, like Middle Eastern looking soldiers with like weapons. And I'm like, what? Are we getting arrested? Like, what the hell? And a flight attendant comes in and she tells us that it's normal, but because there's cargo coming off the plane, that's why they're there. And I'm like, wait, what's going on here? And I'm kind of looking out at the airport. It looks um it looks somewhat fancy. And I knew that Sri Lanka was, back then, it was like a third world country, very poor country, little island. It just didn't look like that. This looked pretty progressive. And she says to Chad and Scott and I, we're going to be here for a little bit unloading. If you and your friends want to go into the airport, everything is duty free. And I think that kind of meant like tax free or something. I don't know. And I said, what? She said, if you want to go buy, cigarettes, alcohol, snacks, food, and we're going to be here for, an hour or two unloading some of the cargo. And I thought, wait a minute, aren't we getting off? Come to find out, we are not in Sri Lanka. We are in Dubai. The 7 hours took from going to Amsterdam, I'm choking myself, to what I thought would be our destination is Dubai. Oh my God, I'm shocking myself. Hold on. I got to get a swig of soda here. Now, let me remind you, this happened in the late 90s, mid 90s, mid 90s. There was a different perception of Dubai in the Middle East back then. Okay. All I heard were American women getting kidnapped. Once you or held hostage, or you just didn't go to places like this. I mean, now it's amazing. Well, there's still some restrictions. I was horrified. I said, I'm going nowhere. Now, of course, Scott and Chad, my co-conspirators, the ones that dragged me into the red light district, the ones that got the taxi driver high, the ones that left me with the Amsterdam police and their, in their clutches. Of course, they wanted to get off the plane. I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not getting arrested. So we sat there for another, hour or two while they did their thing and the airlines did their thing. And I'm thinking, I just flew another 7 hours and we're still not there yet. So everybody gets back on the plane. We're ready to head to what is going to be Sri Lanka, for real this time. So I'm thinking, oh, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump away. I mean, it's got to be. We've been in the air for 18 hours. No. We have another 5-hour flight. Now, I don't know why I didn't check this all out before I got on a plane at LAX. Can I remind you again, for probably the third or fourth time, I am terrified of planes. I get brutally airsick. And I'm thinking, I'm going to die. I'm just going to die. Like, if I take any more Tylenol PM, I'm going to OD. But we get settled back in, and the plane starts to get really rowdy. Now, I thought it was rowdy in the prior flights, but this time they got really rowdy because men from Dubai get on, and it's and some men from got off who were going to Dubai, but it's just a mixture of that same tone of men smoking, drinking, smacking tall blonde flight attendants on the ass with no repercussions, no consequences, and I'm like, we're going to die. That's all there is to it. So, to make this long flight of a story less brutal, because just rehashing it's making me have cotton mouth. 5 hours later, we did land in Sri Lanka. And if you think the adventures in Amsterdam were fun and interesting, I never could have predicted what would happen to us when we landed in this tiny little third world country of an island in the middle of nowhere off the coast of India. Oh, yeah. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the fun begins. Can't wait to catch up with you on the next one.